Good morning, dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for our today's digital session for the subject Science and Technology Section A. First, before moving ahead, I would like to inform you that Science Section B portion is over. Already we have covered the chapters for the first term, that is chapter number 6, 7, 8, 10 and 15. These are the 5 chapters from section B which we have already completed. 6, I repeat once again, 6, 7, 8, 10 and 15. Chapter number 10 was completed by Varsha teacher as it was a chapter related to information and communication technology. Already the notes are also given to you through the video. So henceforth your section B lectures I will be utilizing for section A. So now we continue with our today's session. We continue with the chapter Laws of Motion. One concept, law of conservation of momentum, was left last time. That we will complete and then we are going to continue with our textual exercise. Law of conservation of momentum. To understand law of conservation of momentum, you already are well known with the term momentum. What is momentum? Product of mass and velocity of an object. Here we have to consider two objects. Suppose an object A, we will take two objects, one is A and object B, has mass m1 and initial velocity of that object is u1. You take another object B which has mass m2 and initial velocity u2. All of you know, according to the formula for momentum, what is momentum? Mass into velocity. So the initial momentum of A is what? Mass of A, that is m1, multiplied by velocity of A, that is u1, and that of B will be m2 u2. Now if these two objects collide with each other, you know, when the objects will collide, here the force on A, that is the force on object A due to B, we will consider as F1. Now when this force will be applied, surely this force will cause an acceleration in object A. What is acceleration? Rate of change of velocity. And the velocity, initial velocity which was u1, that velocity will become v1, that is final velocity. So momentum of object A after collision will be m1. Instead of u1 it will be m1 v1. Similarly, according to the Newton's third law of motion, A after getting exerted by a force from B, it will also exert an equal force on B but in the opposite direction. This will cause a change in the momentum of object B. See how the concept is applied. Here the force on A is due to B, that is F1. After applying that force, velocity has changed to v1 and momentum has become m1 v1. But object A will not keep quiet. According to Newton's third law of motion, A will also exert an equal force on B but in the opposite direction. This will cause a change in the momentum of B and its velocity after collision will become v2. The momentum of B after collision will be m2 v2. If F2 is the force that acts on object B, F2 is equal to minus F1. Why minus? Because directions are opposite. Now all of you know what is the formula for F? M into A. So for object 2, F2, it will be m2 multiplied by a2 is equal to minus m1 multiplied by a1. Why? Because F is equal to m into A. Now you know the formula for acceleration. What is the formula for acceleration? V minus u upon t. So that formula you are going to substitute in place of A. So your equation will become m2 multiplied by, now it is v minus u. So for second object it is v2 minus u2 upon t. For the first object it is v1 minus u1 upon t. Why? Because A is equal to v minus u upon t. Now t on either sides will get cancelled off. So what remains? m2 inside the bracket v2 minus u2 is equal to minus m1 v1 minus u1. Open the brackets. Algebra. m2 v2 minus m2 u2 is equal to minus m1 v1 minus into minus becomes plus m1 u1. So if this m2 v2 near it you bring m1 v1, this minus sign will become plus. So m2 v2 plus m1 v1 is equal to this m1 u1 you keep here, and this minus m2 u2 when it comes here it will become plus. So look at our final equation. m2 v2 plus m1 v1 is equal to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. Now what is all this? Mass into velocity. It is nothing but momentum. So what is your derivation? The magnitude of total final momentum is equal to the magnitude of total initial momentum. So what can you state over here? If no external force is acting on both the objects, then their total initial momentum is equal to their total final momentum, and it is true for any number of objects. When no external force acts on two interacting objects, their total momentum remains constant. It does not change, and this is nothing but the law of conservation of momentum. You have studied under law of conservation of energy in the previous chapter. What law of conservation of energy stated? That energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can be converted from one form into another. Thus the total amount of energy in the universe remains constant. So same here, it is a corollary to Newton's third law of motion. What does it state? When two objects collide, the total momentum before collision is equal to the total momentum after collision. So this is nothing but law of conservation of momentum, and a total 5 marks question. So I hope all of you have understood what is law of conservation of momentum. Here you have to consider two objects, take two different masses, for them take two different initial velocities, note down their momentums when they collide, application of force from both the objects, because Newton's third law of motion is applicable over here, and then you will get the final expression. So here we complete with the explanation of chapter. Now we will continue with the textual exercise. Already we have started in our previous session with the textual exercise. We have completed all the objectives, question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4. Under question number 4, one fill up it was left. During collision, dash remains constant. You have got the answer over here. During collision, the total momentum remains constant. During collision, the total momentum remains constant. And what you will give the explanation over here? The magnitude of total final momentum is equal to the magnitude of total initial momentum. So this is the explanation for fill up 4D. Now question number 5, give reasons. We have completed give reason A, give reason B in our previous session. Now we are going to start give reason number 3rd, C. It is easier to stop a tennis ball as compared to a cricket ball when both are traveling with the same velocity. It is easier to stop a tennis ball as compared to a cricket ball when both are traveling with the same velocity. Now here you have to first take into consideration about the mass and velocity of the ball, because you have to see whose mass is greater. Mass of the cricket ball is greater than that of a tennis ball. Your first point should be mass. Hence, even if both the balls travel with the same velocity, see both are traveling with the same velocity, momentum of cricket ball will be greater than that of the tennis ball. Why? Because formula for momentum is mass into velocity. Thus, the force required to stop a cricket ball is more than a tennis ball. Why? Because mass is greater. Hence, it is easier to stop a tennis ball as compared to cricket ball when both are traveling with the same velocity. So what concept you have to link over here, the logic of momentum. You have to see momentum is equal to mass into velocity. So the object with higher mass, see, even if you take very small example of a small stone and a large stone, if both the stones are thrown towards you at the same time, it will be easier for you to take a small stone as compared to a big stone, to stop a small stone as compared to a bigger one. Hence, same concept you are going to apply here. Why? Which concept? Momentum concept. Momentum is dependent on both mass and velocity. So, the object which will have lower mass will have lower momentum. Hence, the force required to stop that particular object will be low, and hence it is easier to stop a tennis ball as compared to a cricket ball, although both are traveling with the same speed, same velocity. I hope you have understood the concept. See, just by copying the points, you will not understand. Understand the logic behind it, understand the concept, and then you can write the answer in your own words. So those who want, jot down the points quickly. First mention about mass, then about momentum, write the formula for momentum. So depending on momentum, about the force, and then finally your concluding statement. Always and always remember, when you are writing the give reason, your concluding statement, hence it is so and so, that is very important. Don't just end up with the points and end with the reason. Now we are going to the last give reason of our chapter, that is give reason number 4. The velocity of an object at rest is considered to be uniform. You know, when any object is at rest, what happens? There is no change in the speed. That object is in the rest position. Velocity does not change. Speed does not change. Hence, we can say that the velocity is uniform. So, your first statement, for an object at rest, its speed is 0 all the time. You know, if you are keeping a duster, if you are keeping any objects in a stable position, you are not applying any force, you are not touching, it is at rest, there will be no speed seen in the object. So its speed is 0 all the time. Hence, there is no change in the velocity. Your first statement should be, for an object at rest, its speed is 0 all the time. There is no change in velocity. Second point, an object with constant velocity. No change in velocity means velocity is constant. It is stable. An object with constant velocity is said to be in uniform motion, and hence an object at rest is considered to have uniform velocity. Very, very simple concept. You can express the answer in your own words. When an object is at rest, there is no speed seen, so there is no velocity. So velocity here is constant, and the object which is at rest is said to have uniform velocity. Here we end with give reasons, that is question number 5. We move on to our next question, which is actually answer which is expected from your side. Take, in the textbook they have given 5 examples from your surroundings. We will take only 3 examples. Per law, 1 example I expect you to write. So change the question. Instead of 5, you write 3 examples. Take 3 examples from your surroundings and give explanation based on Newton's laws of motion. So the first example, these are the example which mostly I have taken from the textbook. You can go to that particular law and you can see examples are given. If you want to take any other examples, you can just type on the Google net examples related to Newton's second law, examples related to Newton's first law. You will get n number of examples over there. So the fruits on a tree, you just don't write down the answers. This is only for your understanding. Actually, it is a answer where you have to open-ended. You can answer on your own. Fruits on a tree fall down when its branches are shaken. Example from Newton's first law of motion. Driving a truck or a car. You know, when you are driving any vehicle, then the movement should be in the same direction. So Newton's second law of motion. and mechanism of firing of a rocket, Newton's third law of motion. So these are the examples which I have taken from textbook. This I have taken from the Google Net. Apart from this, you can search examples on your own and write down the answer in your notebook. With this, we complete with all the textual answers. Now we start with numericals, that is question number 7. So keep your notebooks ready. First one. An object moves 18 meter in the first 3 seconds, 22 meter in the next 3 seconds and 14 meter in the last 3 seconds. What is its average speed? Now you know, when you have to calculate anything average, then you have to average marks. You have to add the marks of all the subjects and divide by the number of subjects. So similarly here, you have to add the total distances and divide it by the total time. Then you will get the speed. Why? Because the formula for speed is distance upon time. So first you will add given total distance. So 18 meters plus 22 meters plus 14 meters. These three you add, it will come out to 54 meters. Next is you have to add all the 3 timings. So 3 second, 3 second, 3 sub-second. Even if you know verbally, do not write the answer, any answer verbally. Show all the calculations in numerical examples. Otherwise, at the board exams, during the board exams, examiner can consider it as copied. So beware about it. Take care to do all the calculations. You have to show it in the sum or make a rough work column, and additions you can show in the rough work column. Many students have the habit, total distance is equal to, they will add up verbally and they will write 54 meters. Don't do that. Total time, add all 3, 9 seconds. What you have to find? Average speed. To find average speed, as I have told you, in numericals your steps are very important, even though they don't have different marks. Showing given, to find, solution means what formula you are using. What is the formula over here? Your speed formula. Speed is distance upon time. So average speed is total distance covered upon total time taken by the object. I hope all of you have copied down the steps. Very simple, total distance, then total time, what you have to find, and formula. Now added values, 54 upon 9. 9 6 the 6 meters per second. Therefore, average speed of the object is 6 meters per second. Average speed of the object is 6 meters per second. Second sum. An object of mass 16 kg is moving with an acceleration of 3 meters per second square. Mass is given, acceleration is given. Calculate the applied force. If the same force is applied on an object of mass 24 kg, same force means whatever force you are going to calculate over here. So, what is the formula for force? Mass into acceleration. If the same force is applied on an object of mass 24 kg, how much will be the acceleration? So, given is there. Now here you will have 2 given. One is for the first object, one is for the next object. So, for the first object, mass is 16 kg, acceleration is 3 meters per second square. So, force, you have to find the force. Force formula solution is mass into acceleration. That is m multiplied by a. Substitute the value, 16 multiplied by 3, 48. Now it is force and units are in MKS system. So your unit will be Newton. So now again second given, because in the sum we are having 2 parts. Now what they have told in the previous part, you can see here, if the same force is applied on an object of mass 24 kg, which force? The force which you have found out just now, 48 Newton. If that force is applied on an object of mass 24 kg, what is the acceleration? Again the same solution, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Here what is the force? 48 upon mass is 24. 24 2s are. So acceleration is 2 meter per second square, because you know the unit of acceleration. meter per second square. Now don't just end up with the sum over here. How you have to express the full answer. So force acting on the first object is 48 Newton and acceleration which is produced in the second object is 2 meter per second square. So final answer is very important in the give reasons and also in the numerical examples. Or if you are very lazy in writing the final answers, then at least the answers which are asked, you have to highlight it or put that answer in the box. Either thing you do. Now we go to a sum which is based on law of conservation of momentum. A bullet having a mass of 10 grams and moving with a speed of 1.5 meters per second. See here, one is in grams, one is in meters per second. So the most important thing while solving a numerical example is you have to see that the units are same. Penetrates a thick wooden plank of mass 90 grams. The plank was initially at rest. The bullet gets embedded in the plank and both move together. Now see, a bullet is fired from a gun. It penetrates into a thick wooden plank which was initially at rest. You have to determine their velocity. Now velocity will be same because once the bullet gets embedded in the plank, both move together. Moving together means their velocity will be same. That velocity you have to find out. Now here two objects are there. One is bullet and the other is wooden plank. So first you have to write given M1. Mass is 10 grams. Now here it is in meter per second. So either you convert this grams into kg or this meter per second you convert into centimeters per second. Anyway, I have decided to convert in new MK system. So this I am converting grams into kilograms. So you know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 gram. So gram when I have to convert into kg, I have to divide by 1000. So mass of the bullet M1 is 10 upon 1000 kg. Keep it as it is. M2, that is mass of the wooden plank, is 90 grams. So 90 upon 1000 kg. U1, see, moving with a speed, bullet U1 is equal to 1.5 meters per second. So what is that U1? Initial velocity of the bullet. Writing this in the bracket is very important because the examiner, the teacher will not know what is M1, what is M2. So in your mind you have decided that my bullet is the first object and plank is the second object. So accordingly you have taken for the first object M1, for the second object M2. But we won't understand. So in the bracket you have to write up. So we move on to the next part. U2 is equal to 0 meter per second. Why 0 meter per second? Because the plank was initially at rest. So when anything is at rest, your initial velocity is 0. So that we have taken U2 is equal to 0 meter per second, initial velocity of the wooden plank. What you have to find? Velocity. Now as I have told you, the bullet gets embedded in the plank and both move together. Determine their velocity. When both are moving together, their velocity will be same. So velocity for object object first, that is bullet V1, is equal to V2, that we will take as any number. We can take it any alphabet. We usually take anything as X when you have to find out. So if you want you can take, or if you want you can just write it as V. V1 is equal to V2, that is equal to X, or small v, because it is common now. Use the formula law of conservation of momentum. M1 U1 plus M2 U2 is equal to M1 V1 plus M2 V2. Here if you want you can also provide one additional information in the beginning according to the law of conservation of momentum. Depends on you, not compulsory. Substitute the values. Mass 1 is what? 10 upon 1000. We have converted in kgs. Multiply by 1.5 plus 90 upon 1000 multiply by 0. Why 0? Because you can see here U2 is 0 is equal to M1 into V1. So 10 upon 1000 plus 90 upon 1000. Now V1 is equal to V2. So that we have taken common as V. So 1.5 multiplied by 10, 15 upon 1000 is equal to, now this multiply by 0 comes out to 0, so leave that aside. So 15 upon 1000 is equal to, now you can see your denominators are same. So you can add this, 90 plus 10 comes out to 100 upon 1000 multiplied by V. Now cross multiply. 15 multiplied by 1000 is 15,000 is equal to, you can see here 1 lakhs, that is 1000 multiplied by 100 into V. And then simple calculations. If you want the value of V, 15,000 upon 1 lakh, you will get as 0.15. Now it is velocity. So velocity is in meters per second. See, initial also it is in meter per second. So when it is velocity, your unit will be in meter per second. So 0.15 meters per second. Very simple. You have to apply the law of conservation of momentum and you will get the answer. While substituting, doing the calculations, be very precise. Do not make mistakes hastily. Do all the calculations in the rough work and then only enter the values. Now sum D is same as sum number 7A. So that is a homework for you. See, a person swims 100 meter in the first 40 seconds, 80 meter in the next 40 seconds and 45 in the last 20 seconds. What is the average speed? So you have to add all the three distances, add all the three timings and you will get the average speed. Same as sum number 7A which we have done today. Now we move to the additional questions. You just write the questions and you can mark in your textbook. First one is, question number 1 is define. Keep your textbook open to mark. Define A, velocity. Answer is on page number 2 in your textbook. Answer is on page number 2. See, on page number 2, towards the end of the page you have the last two lines. The displacement that occurs in unit time is called velocity. The displacement that occurs in unit time is called velocity. Second one, acceleration. Those who want to write can quickly write down. Very simple definition. The rate of change of velocity is called acceleration. Those who want to mark can mark on page number 5. On page number 5, first paragraph, last line, the rate of change of velocity is called acceleration. Uniform circular motion, better to write down. Uniform circular motion, when an object moves with a constant speed along a circular path, the motion is called uniform circular motion. We have seen many examples related to uniform circular motion. Movement of a fan, movement of electrons around the nucleus. So you can write down the definition. When an object moves with a constant speed along a circular path, the motion is called, this circular path is very important. If circular path word is not there, then full 0 you will get for the definition. I hope all of you have copied up till question number 1C. We move on to the last. These 3 laws of motion you can mark in the textbook. Newton's first law of motion. All of you refer page number 12. All the 3 laws are given in bold in the textbook. On page number 12, you can see on that page only 2 bold lines are there. That is Newton's first law. An object continues to remain at rest or in a state of uniform motion along the straight line unless an external unbalanced force acts on it. Page number 13, you will get Newton's second law of motion. The rate of change of momentum is proportional to the applied force and the change of momentum occurs in the direction of the force. Newton's third law of motion you will get on page number 14. Again it is in bold. Every action force has an equal and opposite reaction force which acts simultaneously. Here we complete the definitions which are additional. Now the last 2 brief additional questions. Here also immediately you can mark in the textbook. Copy the question in your notebook. Using Newton's second law of motion, derive the force equation. Copy the question. Using Newton's second law of motion, derive the force equation. For marking the answer, all of you will go to page number 13. Just now we have marked Newton's second law. Start from there itself. See, I have written here in bold the rate of change of momentum, that is Newton's second law. Just now we have marked. So write from there up till the last line of that page in your textbook, that is F is equal to m into A. And this all I have explained during the explanation in our previous session. I hope all of you have marked page number 13, right from Newton's second law up to the last line of that page, that is F is equal to m into A, a 5 marks question. And the last brief question is, state the law of conservation of momentum and derive an expression for it. Copy the question. State the law of conservation of momentum and derive an expression for it. So on page number 15, just today only we have seen this law. Page number 15, right from the first line of that page up to, you can see this derivation we have seen. After that we have a line. The magnitude of total final momentum is equal to the magnitude of total initial momentum. This is nothing but the law of conservation of momentum. So in the beginning only we have written a state. So this is nothing but the answer for state. You don't have to explain again. I hope all of you have marked this answer also on page number 1515. Right from the first line of that page up to the magnitude of total final momentum is equal to magnitude of total initial momentum. So here we have completed chapter number 1 for section A. So for section A we have completed chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4. Only remaining is chapter number 5 that we are going to start in our next session. So till then, I hope all of you have copied all the additional questions, numericals, and I expect all of you to complete it in your notebook also. Thank you, dear children.